Beneath the stars so bright, pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. You'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.
Howdy there, I'm Matt McKinley and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burning Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Welcome back. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here. Markets are closed, and we had a ceasefire, and then we didn't. All sorts of stuff going on today, but this is the Friggin Farm Ranch Report for Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. All right, so Trump announced a ceasefire shortly after I finished recording yesterday. Maybe while I was recording, I'm not for sure, but so everything that you heard this morning out of me was blown all to hell. But then, all right, so Pakistan bordered a 2-week truce late yesterday, less than 2 hours before his deadline to start hitting bridges and power plants. Bridge and power plant day is what Trump was calling it. So oil dropped significantly overnight. West Texas down as much as 18%, down near to $92 a barrel, which is still high, mind you, but it was at 110. Brent was down 16% to $90. Potentially the biggest single day drop since April of 2020, and that's when oil went negative because everybody was locked down. But the truce is already cracking. Israel launched its largest coordinated strike against Hezbollah since the war started. Over 100 sites across Lebanon with at least 254 dead. And since the war restarted, at least 254 dead, and Iran is threatening to pull out and reclose the Hormuz Strait again. The national diesel hit $5.64 this week. It was like $6.20 an average in Nevada, $6.22. If ships go by, then your input costs are going to ease down over the next weeks. But if this thing collapses over the Lebanon stuff, every price on your operation goes right back up, and then probably just starts creeping higher and higher, and if not, just running higher and higher. But cash cattle is steady at about 244. Box choice is over $400. Grains were soft. The West drought is increasing, and this ceasefire watches. Well, we'll see. Anyways, it's a weird one today, so bear with us. All right, so on to my next little slide here. Let's see. All right. This show is brought to you by Lone Star Stockyards out of Wildorado, Texas, just outside of Amarillo. This is their market report from yesterday. They're a Tuesday sale barn. But they moved about 1,200 head, feeders, steers, and heifers, 10 to 20 higher. The weights, any of the cattle over 900 pounds were steady, and your steer and heifer calves were sharply higher in the lighter range. if you got any sort of questions for him, you can call Bill over there at 970-302-5834, or Sheldon. He's the yard manager. Bill's the owner. Sheldon's 806-736-0040. And their next sale is, well, they have their next week cattle sale, but on Saturday, April 11th at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time, they have their spring catalog horse sale, which I have, let's see, put this up instead. So the people that are running this is Clay and Taylor Page. Were both raised in the heart of Western industry, surrounded by ranching, rodeo, feed yards, roping, and horse sales. From an early age, they developed a deep respect for good horses and an even deeper passion for pairing the right horse with the right person. Having handled and ridden horses from a wide range of disciplines, they appreciate them all, but their favorite has always been a true good one. And so Taylor says many don't have lifetime earnings or black type pedigrees. They've got saddle marks and work ethics. We relate deeply to those good old ranch horses, and we take pride in shining a spotlight on these phenomenal horses through a public auction. So I agree with that sentiment all the way around. So if you got any questions about the horse sale, give Taylor or Clay Page a call. Taylor's number is 806-654-5490, and Clay is 806-679-5883. Go check out that horse sale if you're in the area. If you're not, they do. You can view and bid live. It's cci.live, I believe, is what it was. On the let's see. Yes, cci.live. You can call or text bid and watch it live. So all the information's right there. You can go to LoneStarStockyards.com and you can find all your information there. So anyhow, that's our sponsor. Please go support them. And let them know you heard about it on the Friggin Farm Ranch Report on the Burnin Daylight Network. Please go follow Burnin Daylight wherever you get your podcasts, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Rumble, any of that stuff. Rumble's kind of behind right now, but regardless, all that stuff you can find. Just search up Burnin Daylight. You'll find me. Substack, especially burnindaylight.substack.com. That's where the payroll stuff is, or the paywall side of things is. So all the extra content will be at Substack, including the new dashboard that I'm building, that I think you guys will find really, really useful. I find it really useful when it works, and it's not fully working at the moment, but it's getting there very close. We're nearly there. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Iran ceasefire. Where are we at? Okay, so less than 2 hours before Trump's deadline to launch a devastating attacks on Iranian infrastructure, the deal came together. Pakistan's Prime Minister Sharif brokered it, requested an extension, and urged Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz as a goodwill gesture. Now, Pakistan is very heavily dependent on on oil out of the Persian Gulf, which passes through and then passes through the Gulf of Hormuz, all that. Okay, so Iran's foreign minister Aragchi confirmed that safe passage through the Hormuz for 14 days, coordinated with Iranian military forces, with Iran and Oman collecting transit fees on ships passing through. Pro-Iranian armed groups in Iraq also announced a 2-week suspension of attacks on coalition bases in the region. On the same day, Israel launched what the IDF called its largest coordinated strike against Hezbollah since the war restarted, with over 100 sites hit across Beirut's southern suburbs, the Bekaa Valley, and southern Lebanon. At least 254 killed. Pakistan's Sharif announced the ceasefire applied everywhere, including Lebanon. Netanyahu said it didn't. The White House backed Israel. Press Secretary Levitt confirmed the U.S. Iran truce does not cover Israeli operations in Lebanon. Iran's Tasnim news agency reported Tehran would withdraw from the ceasefire if Israeli strikes on Lebanon continue. Fars news agency reported that oil tankers transiting Hormuz were halted again after the Lebanon strikes. So inside 12 hours, the truce was already fracturing. What that means for oil and imports. So before the ceasefire, Brent was trading above 110. By Wednesday morning, it was it all had kind of cratered. Like I said, it was still high, but considering what it was at, it was down to $92 a barrel. Closed out. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up my dashboard because I can. So it's right now West Texas crude's at 97.03 a barrel. Brent crude's at 97.16. So still down substantially, but way up from that $92.90 for Brent. Both up, back up pretty substantially. National on-highway diesel hit. Okay, so yeah, potentially the largest single-day percentage drop since April 2020. National on-highway diesel hit $5.64 per gallon this week. Before the truce news, Nevada was at $6.22 a gallon. 20% of global oil supply transits through the Hormuz, so if the ships actually flow through, diesel pressure eases over the weeks, if not days, and sometimes almost immediately, as we saw. But if Iran recloses the strait, or if the truce collapses over this Lebanon deal, we're right back at $110 a barrel or more, and record diesel. So let's see. Yeah. So here's a pretty decent map, actually. You can see on the right-hand side where that dark part's the Persian Gulf, and then you got this little bitty narrow stretch of sea, and that's the Strait of Hormuz, and it's wide enough so there's 2 lanes of traffic, from what I understand, like for like where it's deep enough for like the big tankers to go through. There's 2 lanes, ingoing and outgoing. Okay, so but if it recloses that, then or if it, if the truce falls apart because of that deal, it's gonna really be the shit. So on the OSINT side, so the operations and intelligence stuff, mostly on social media, you see a flood of Telegram channels and Twitter accounts claiming victory for every side today. It doesn't, even if they're not like directly involved in the conflict, like Russia's claiming wins somehow. They're all claiming a win. But OSINT, so that's open source intelligence, means verifying claims against publicly available information. So that's satellite images, geolocated video, shipping trackers, flight data. During the Ukraine war, outlets like Bellingcat and the Center for Information Resilience built the model of over 23,000 verified incidents tracked, cross-referenced with satellite imagery and media reports. The same method applies to Hormuz and Lebanon right now. And so there's a bunch of channels that we watch, like Rybar, Intel, Slava Z, which is, I believe that one's Russian. It might be Ukrainian. OSINT, Defender, War Monitor, Aurora, Intel. They're all really good sources, but they all have their own bias. So like Russian-affiliated military bloggers, migrated to Telegram after all the Western platforms were banned in Russia, and then pro-Ukrainian channels still push their propaganda just as hard as the Russians do. Iranian state media, so Tasnim, Fars, and Press TV will claim total victory over the U.S. today. IDF channels show precision strike footage, and what we look for is like any overlapping stuff. So if there's a one side claiming something and all the other sides are calling bullshit, like you kind of just flag that as probably didn't happen, and it's just one side saying it doesn't mean anything. It could be true, but if you see multiple different sides of a story reporting roughly the same thing, then you have a little closer to what actually happened. So on the Ukraine front, the Pokrovsk sector grinds on. Russian territorial gains are pretty close to zero for the first sustained period in 2.5 years. A lot of casualties on both sides, very little movement in the map. It hasn't stopped. It's just in the background, and Zelensky's like trying to make deals with Western countries, particularly the U.S. and like the Gulf Arab allies for anti-drone technology, and they're wanting interceptor missiles which seem to be in pretty short supply all the way around, because we sent a ton of them to Ukraine, and then we sent a ton of them to Israel, and then we've I don't know which side got more, including our own side, over there in the Middle East. But those things are not like, they don't just whip those out. Like they take a little while to make, and they're very expensive, and a lot of times they're a lot more expensive than what they're trying to shoot down, which sometimes is just like a $10,000 drone that they're not trying to get back. It's essentially a bomb for them. I mean, it is a bomb, but they had to treat it just like they would, just like another artillery round or something. That's what those kamikaze drones are kind of like. So it's it's pretty interesting how all that is tying together. But tying that all back to agriculture, Hormuz carries 20% of the global oil, but also a massive share of global fertilizer sea transit goes through there. So urea, ammonia, and sulfur, different types of sulfur components. And during the 6 weeks of this, fertilizer prices have spiked 21%, and diesel's 50% year over year. That was all before yesterday. So we'll see how if this ceasefire is blown all to hell yet, or if it's salvageable. I don't know. We'll see. I would imagine it'll be kind of like the Israel Gaza ceasefires, where it like pops back off and then dies back down, and then I don't know. We'll see how that works. Analysts are warning not to get too optimistic. Evercore's note Wednesday said that the ceasefire could collapse, and there will still be an initial inflation shock regardless. If this truce holds through the 2 weeks leading into the talks in Islamabad on Friday, you could see meaningful relief on diesel and nitrogen costs by late April. But if the Lebanon deal blows it all up and Iran recloses the strait, then every input on your operation goes to all-time highs again. So if you're call it your diesel, if you're hauling cabs this month, don't assume the pump price drops tomorrow just because crude did today. The refinery lag is very real. So that's what we got for the war reel today. All right. On the market side of things, where's my... Okay, livestock side of things. I got the closeout numbers. Okay. The day wrapped up as a risk-off flush. So the crude and stock indexes puked into the close, while cattle complex held together. Sound like a real dummy. Held together better than it looked like it might this morning. And grains stayed on the defensive, with corn and beans leaking lower into the bell. Metals caught a late safe haven bid, with silver really going strong. Gold held firm. And the whole board trading, like folks suddenly remembered that wars cost money and diesel. So live cattle finished slightly higher, still up in the high 240s, with deferred's mixed to a touch softer as the board waits on this week's cash. Call it steady to firm versus the softer tone we were a little bit worried about this morning. Feeder cattle clawed back earlier weakness and closed modestly higher in the front months, tracking the cheaper corn and reminding everybody that the that the tight cattle supply plus the softer feed is still a friendly recipe for you. Lean hogs slid into the close, giving up some of the early strengths as the broader risk off move and weaker product tone weighed on the contracts. On the grains, May corn eased into the close around the mid 440s. A few cents on the day, and just a little bit below where it looked at this morning. Traders were taking some of the weather and war premium back out. Soybeans finished lower, with near contracts off a few cents. Selling pressure building through the session. Board felt heavy all afternoon as the macro headwinds and a decent South American supply. The talk on the decent South American supply kept a lid on most of the rallies. Wheat ended the day slightly softer and pretty much unchanged, giving back some. It popped a little bit in the middle of the day and gave it back. So a lot of geopolitical and Black Sea noise. The grain floor mostly shrugged and followed the corn. All right, on the macros and the metals. West Texas crude dipped way down in the mid 90s, down $17 from the recent highs. Far bigger dump than it looked like at the mid session. Some of the traders bailed on the war premium after a fresh ceasefire and diplomacy chatter hit the tape. Gold held firm near the recent elevated levels as money rotated out of the equities and back into hard assets. With intraday dips getting bought, silver ripped way higher, up more than 6% on the day, and is trading in the mid 70s. So a much hotter close than the sleepy one we saw this morning. Stocks rolled over hard. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all finished sharply lower after lunch as the crude oil flushed. And the war headlines and the rate jitters turned a mixed morning into a classic sell the close kind of tape. On the late day headlines out of the Middle East and Iran, so the war and ceasefire chatter out of the Middle East and Iran late in the session coincided with the big crude washout and a risk dump in equities. Traders clearly decided today's headlines took some immediate invasion and shipping route fire out of the market, at least for now. So no major USDA reports dropped after the close, and no fresh Packer plant shutdown headlines hit this afternoon. No fires. So the leverage story. So the end of the week will kind of tell us. Obviously, they'll tell us more because it's in the future. But as of right now, it's oil's down a little bit, but it's still pretty dicey. All right. So then on FinSpo's politics side, I had a pretty good couple stories here to cover. So all right. So on the farm bill, the House Ag Committee rammed the Farm, Food, and National Security Act of 2026, or H.R. 7567, through the committees, 3417. That was back on March 5th after a 20-hour marathon markup session. All 26 Republicans plus 7 Democrats voted for. It runs through the fiscal year 2031. ARC and PLC reference prices were updated upward. The Conservation Stewardship Program boosted $1.375 billion baseline plus $2 billion new funding for soil health on voluntary and incentive-based only. FSA loan limits are raised for beginning operations. Pesticide preemption kills stricter state-level rules than EPA, so California can't have a stricter version of their whatever their environmental law than the EPA sets, which EPA doesn't set laws and be rules. But either way, so they're saying that a federal rule overrides a state law. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because we'll see. Anyway, so it kills stricter state level rules, not laws, rules. Okay, than the EPA. Critics call it a big ag giveaway, stripping state power on drift and neonicotinoid bans. I'm not sure. I think that might be the Roundup. I'm not for sure. That's glyphosate. Yeah, glyphosate. There's rural energy cost reductions, small co-op renewable access, precision ag exemptions. There's trade title codifies food for peace under USDA and shifts to in-kind commodity aid, prioritizing U.S. exports. Senate has no firm intro yet. The lag risks the 2018 Farm Bill extensions expiring on September 30th. So we'll see where that goes. On a government overreach watch, the Center for Biological Diversity sued U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and U.S. Forest Service, and then the Fish and Wildlife over cattle grazing in Arizona's Tonto National Forest. The claims were harm to endangered Chiricahua leopard frog and the Gila chub. They demand injunctions on all allotments in occupied habitat. And a BLM bison permit flip-flops continue in Montana. Earth Justice is protesting revocation of American Prairie's grazing preferences. Trump's USDA Farmer and Rancher Freedom Framework is 66%. I'm not sure what that one means. That line got put in there somehow. Okay, so it's like NEPA cuts, roadless road rescissions. There's easier predator compensation evidence for wolves, bears, coyotes, and then permitting modernization to slash the BLM and Forest Service backlogs. The House delivers some producer wins on paper, but environmental lawfare and big tech land grabs are kind of like the boot on your neck. And then on those land grabs, the AI boom is devouring American farmland. Our average data center footprint is 224 acres, so a little over a quarter section. Which is up 144% since 2022. Obviously, they've been building more, so it's going to be a rapid increase, obviously. But each facility guzzles about 5 million gallons of water per day and 1 gigawatt of power. 40 states are dangling tax breaks to move data centers there. Trump's executive order 14318 fast tracks federal permitting for these data centers. But ranchers and farmers, which are, his base is, ranchers and farmers are like 90% on his base, are pushing back pretty hard. Kentucky's Huddleston family rejected over $26 million for 900 acres of generational farm ground. That was part of a 2,000 acre rezoning for a data center campus. The family cited irreversible water drain that would kill neighbors' wells and pastures. In rural Pennsylvania, a planned data center is sparking GOP primary revolts against a pro-AI congressman. Farmers can't buy expansion land because tech money is bidding it up. Texas counties are yanking zoning incentives and retracting approvals over the noise, the water, and the power grid strain of these data centers. And nationwide, $156 billion in 48 projects are blocked or stalled by grassroots opposition. So they'll pay you real fat check today, but it'll wreck whatever legacy you were trying to leave behind if you're a family farm or ranch. Once that ground gets rezoned, it doesn't typically come back. So the water and the power drain hits every neighbor on the aquifer and the water table, not just the cellar. Local zoning boards are your firewall. So if you don't want that shit in your backyard, you've got to speak up. And when they hold community meetings for it, I know we've got one potentially going in here, and there's been a lot of opposition to it. Being out in the desert, water's always a concern. We'll see how that goes, but there's a data center they're trying to put in here, and also like a solar farm, and neither one of them sound all that great. So, like I said, the local zoning boards are where you can make sure that stuff doesn't happen. If your guys are not bought off, which solid chance they are at this point. Let's be real about that. So anyways, keep an eye on that. I know they're putting one in Finney County, Kansas, close to where I live, where I've got family there now. We're near Garden City. That's as if that part of the world wasn't ugly enough. They're going to put a big data center in there. It's pray for Western Kansas. All right. Just do it. All right. On the drought side, it's still increasing across the West. The Corn Belt is doing pretty well. Pacific Northwest is wet. I haven't seen much of an update. Well, here, let me Let me pull up my dashboard. Southern Plains at 68% in D2 to D4 range. Southwest is 78% in D2 to D4. The Northern Plains is 10% D2 to D4, but they've got a lot in D1. So like they're they're doing okay, but they're not far from being real droughty. Pacific Northwest only got 2%, but there's a pretty good chunk that's a moderate drought, and the Corn Belt's doing pretty okay at the moment. So we'll see. It looks like the Southern Plains maybe had some moisture coming their way. I don't think we got much moisture on the horizon out here in the high desert. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It'll either rain or it won't. That is my expert prediction. All right. On this day in history, in 1861, no, what do we got? 1974, Hank Aaron hits number 715. I think I said that yesterday. Fourth inning off of Al Downing of the Dodgers. Passes Babe Ruth for the all-time home run record. And 1952, President Truman seizes all the steel mills. With the Korean War raging and steel workers about to strike at midnight on April 9th, Truman signs Executive Order 10340, grabbing every major mill in the country to keep war production running. Supreme Court slaps him down months later in Youngstown Sheet and Tube versus Sawyer, one of the biggest checks on presidential overreach in American history. Workers struck anyways for 53 days. So this was like the gayest situation you could imagine coming from a libertarian standpoint. You have a bunch of communists striking, communists like union people. I'm sure they were communists. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. But I'm just saying they're more likely than not to be communists. And they, anyway, so you got that whole side of thing, which I'm not a big fan of, but then you have the government seizing all these steel mills, and well, I'm not a fan of that either. And, you're just like, well, I'm not picking a side because they're both bad. And, so yeah, you just like that. That's a hard one to ride the fence on. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to. You can't agree with the communists, but with their worldview, but you do. It's kind of like the JBS strike. Like I don't agree probably with a lot of those people politically, but I also don't like those giant packers. So I'm siding with them on this one. The government can't just come in and take your shit like that. And especially it was to fight a war that, forgot that a lot of people just kind of forgot about. All right. In 1981, General Omar Bradley dies. He was the last 5-star general in American history. 69 years of continuous active duty from West Point to his final heartbeat in New York City. He led the largest American ground force ever assembled in Europe. They called him the Soldiers General because he gave a damn about about the guys in the mud. There's if you talk to any of the global war on terror veterans, GWAT veterans from about my age, they will tell you till they're blue in the face how shitty the officer corps and upwards, and particularly the general officers, how terrible they were. And this Omar Bradley was pretty revered by his men. So anyway, he died on April 8th, 1981. In 1864, the Battle of Mansfield, Louisiana. Confederate General Richard Taylor with 8,000 Louisianans and Texans routed a much larger Union force under General Banks during the Red River Campaign. Banks would lose over 2,200 men killed, wounded, and missing, and the whole Union invasion of Texas through Shreveport collapsed right there at that battle. So they were outgunned, they were outnumbered, but they won because they knew the ground, and they also they knew the ground. They were on favorable territory. It didn't matter in the long run because obviously the Confederate lost. Spoiler alert. So anyway, quick little tidbit on history, and on the sports side for if you guys are getting into baseball season, if you're into betting, MLB futures are stupid right now. The Yankees and the Dodgers are both at minus 115 to hit the over on 105 wins. For the over 105 wins, which is dumb. I got to see the Yankees in action last night against the A's. A's held in had them going for a minute. Bullpen blew it. We've already sent a starting pitcher down to AAA, but the offense is starting to click a little bit, and hopefully we can get off the schneid. But also, I'm okay with a little early season schneid. I don't want to go full schneid like we did last year, but a little bit out the gate. Get it out of your system now. All right, so there's a lot of good matchups. I was watching the Cardinals Nationals at the moment just a minute ago. I was watching Orioles White Sox. That's what I love about the MLB packages. You just watch some random games in the middle of the day. But Orioles White Sox was a fun game. That Murakami guy, Munetake Murakami, he's the slugger that the White Sox just signed from Japan. He's been living up to the billing. He's been hitting tanks. So kind of a fun team to watch. Good for the White Sox. And the Rockies are surprisingly competent early on in the year. We'll see how long that lasts. Just like we'll see how long this ceasefire lasts. We'll see how long this cattle market holds, especially with the Greeley plant running at relatively full capacity at the moment. But we'll see how all that shakes out in the days and weeks ahead. But for today, that's all I got for you. So this has been the Friggin Farm and Ranch Report for Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. Thanks for stopping by, fellas. I do appreciate it. Please go like and subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Burnin Daylight on all the platforms, burnindaylight.substack.com. So thanks again for tuning in. Go check out Lone Star Stockyards and their horse sale this weekend. Looks to be a real good one. So on that note, move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right. Just together, and you won't catch 'em all. But when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon It's looking pretty bright. Well, get your ass moving, son. We're burning daylight.